Hi, I'm Paul from the Australian Acupuncture Centre, and today I thought I'd talk to you about the types of needles that we use when we're doing acupuncture. Most people are quite surprised at just how thin acupuncture needles are. In fact, they think about doctors' needles and are surprised to see that our needles are not much thicker than a human hair. Obviously, the main techniques of acupuncture involve the insertion of needles into the skin. So we'll start this discussion with a bit of a view of what our acupuncture needles look like at the Australian Acupuncture Centre. Here you'll see a 10-pack of needles with a swab sitting on a tray. At the centre we always start with clean, fresh needles that are single use, disposed of immediately after withdrawal from the skin. So as you can see, the packet's opened up to reveal a 10-pack of needles and a blue tube. That tube's called a guide tube, and it's used to reduce the sensation of needles as they're inserted into the skin. Very, very effective and makes things very comfortable for patients. So once we've found the appropriate acupuncture point and we've sterilised the skin with some rubbing alcohol, we like to insert the needle using the guide tube. And as you can see, the needle doesn't go in very far in many cases. So it's quite comfortable to receive acupuncture needling. It's not as scary as people think. When we come to withdrawing the needle, we like to withdraw it with a cotton swab just to control any bleeding that might occur. And of course, the needle is immediately disposed of into one of our sharps containers. Although the needles used in modern acupuncture clinics are really very thin, often just as thick as a human hair, it wasn't always the case. In the old days, they looked a little bit different. And here what you see is what's known as the ancient 9 needles of acupuncture. The interesting thing about this picture is that about 40% of the needles that were represented here didn't actually penetrate the skin. Anyway, in modern acupuncture clinics these days, the types of needles we use are derivatives of these type of needles here. Now, just to make sure you're not getting a little bit too worked up about the size of acupuncture needles, I wanted to remind you of just how big an acupuncture needle is. Here you can see a human hair on the left-hand side. Alongside that is the typical acupuncture needle we might use at the Australian Acupuncture Centre. To the right of that is a typical 13mm diabetic needle and a regular match. So by looking at that, you can see that acupuncture needles are really quite thin. At AAC, we use a wide variety of tools to help people get better when they're sick, and a lot of them don't even involve inserting needles into the skin. So if you've got a phobia about needles, don't worry, we've got you covered at AAC. And one of our favourite types of non-insertion techniques at AAC is moxibustion. What you see here in the first series of photographs is some what we call stick moxa. This is where the herb, it's called Artemisia vulgaris or mugwort, is rolled up into a cigar type shape. It's lit at one end and then it's held above the belly or the skin of a patient and until the skin warms up. It's a very comfortable treatment and everybody loves stick moxibustion. Favourite types of moxibustion is called heat perception moxibustion, and it's used to help people with acute injuries, sprains and strains. It's kind of what we call the anti-inflammatory moxibustion. And in the first picture there you see a whole bunch of cones rolled up ready to go, and then in the second picture you see it being applied to the abdomen of a patient. This particular type of treatment here is typically a fertility treatment. Another very common practice in the Australian Acupuncture Centre is the use of needle head moxibustion. This is when some moxa punk, or in the picture you see some charcoal, it's placed on top of a needle, it's then lit and the heat radiates down the needle and onto the skin. It's used for all sorts of conditions, but particularly when people have cold that might be affecting their health. It's very, very comfortable, everybody loves it. It's the sorts of things people request when they come in. Up until this point in the presentation, all of the forms of moxibustion that we've talked about have been held above the skin, supported on a needle, or held in their hand by the practitioner. In the next type of moxibustion, we actually see a form where it's burnt on the skin. This is called rice grain moxibustion, and it's actually the premier form of moxibustion used at the Australian Acupuncture Centre. When things get really difficult, when conditions are tough to treat, this is the type of moxibustion we turn to. Now, it involves rolling rolling really high quality moxa punk into very small cones. They're about the size of a rice grain or half a rice grain. This is applied on the skin over a little bit of cream just to help it stick to the skin. And then, as you can see, an incense stick is used to light the cone, and then the fingers of the practitioner are used to just cushion the heat. Basically, what we do is starve oxygen around the cone so it doesn't burn quite so hot, so when it touches the skin it feels just like a kiss of heat. For all of those that are a little bit worried about the different types of moxibustion they've seen, perhaps you don't want to have moxa burnt on your skin or above the skin, then we have something called heat lamp moxibustion for those people. This is a infrared heat lamp which is plugged into a wall. It's a type of electrical acupuncture, and it's used to warm up various parts of the body. Here in the picture you see it being used to treat a strain on the neck. At the Australian Acupuncture Centre, one of our unique forms of moxibustion is known as dragon warmer moxibustion. This is a type of moxa massage. This is massage with heat. What we do is we get a brass implement which has a moxa stick inside. We light the moxa stick and then we return the moxa stick to the inside of the brass device, and then that is rolled onto various parts of the body. Here you can see that it's being applied to the backs of the legs. That's particularly good for athletes such as joggers and cyclists. It helps to reduce pain and also enhance recovery from exercise. A technique is called scraping. This is when we cause an irritation to the skin using a rounded blunt instrument, usually something like a Chinese soup spoon, as you see in the video there, and we rub the skin until red marks appear on the back. This is used for stiff, tight, painful muscles and is very good at softening off hardness and reducing pain. Other things that we use include cupping. Now that's something most people in Australia are quite familiar with after seeing athletes with cup marks over the back. What it involves is placing either a glass cup or a plastic cup over the skin and then applying some suction to the skin. What it does is it pulls up some bad blood to the surface, creates a small painless injury on the body, and which the immune system responds to and improves the patient's condition. One of the most famous techniques used in Chinese medicine is the prescription of herbal medicine. Here at the Australian Acupuncture Centre, we're lucky enough to have a couple of specialist herbalists working with us, and they use a variety of different herbs to treat their patients. Basically, if you have a herbal consultation, you would sit down with the herbalist, they'd listen to your story, conduct a Chinese herbal medicine examination, and then provide you with a Chinese medicine diagnosis and a prescription to help with your particular problems. We offer a variety of different types of massage. Earlier on you heard me refer to the massage technique called moxa massage. That's applied by one of our acupuncture team. But if you're looking for a type of massage, we have remedial massage and we have relaxation massage practitioners working for us. In summary, you can see that the acupuncture needles used at the Australian Acupuncture Centre are very fine and made of high quality surgical steel. As a result, they usually produce very little needle insertion sensation, and if there is any sort of sensation, then it's nothing more than something like a mosquito bite. So if you've got any questions about how acupuncture might be able to help you, then please don't hesitate to give us a call at the Australian Acupuncture Centre. Thank you.